Hello everyone. I'm going to start this video with a story or two. I've never had an interest in earpods. I've seen other people with them and I've noticed them, but I've never had a conscious desire emerge for them. You know, those earpods, those are the Bluetooth earbuds that go in the ear and allows you to listen to your iPhone remotely. About a month ago, a friend of mine had an extra pair and just said, "Do you want them?" And I said, sure, that's cool. I'll try them out. I'm curious. And she didn't want to take any money. She just wanted to give them. So I just accepted this totally free gift. Now, immediately, I realized how awesome they are. That the earpods totally enhanced the quality of my life. I didn't even realize how enjoyable it would be for me to go to bed listening to audio, and how easier it is than, let's say, having my typical earphones in with a cord. I can walk around the house without my phone on me and listen. It just really made things a lot more enjoyable and easier, and just loved it. After a couple weeks or so, I saw my dog eating one of the two earpods. Now, this is where the story gets interesting and where my particular fascination and inquiry lies. As is probably typical for most of us humans, my first reaction was anger and disappointment, frustration and overwhelm and grief, right? It's all the different kinds of emotions we go through when we're losing something. Then I got rational about it and like, okay, well, this is a lesson for me. I had the ear pods on the table and our dog isn't fully trained yet, and what am I going to expect? Like, it's not unreasonable that this happened. But oh yeah, there's some sadness. I really like them. And I found myself really present with this feeling of loss. Feeling that I lost something. And after some time, I had this realization, what do you mean you lost something? You've only gained something. Think about it. You never had earpods before. They were given to you. You've had the experience of using them. You now know that you like them. And if you want, you can buy a new pair. But the purely optimistic, joyful, appreciative perspective of that was really lost to me for a while. Because I was just focused on, I had it, and now it's gone. Well, I had two of them, one for each ear. Now one of them is gone, and I'm really disappointed. And now if I listen to it with only one ear, I might shift the, it's not as good for my hearing to have only, pods in one ear, and I can't switch back and forth. Like all these different thoughts that resonate around the energy of things aren't good, I've lost something. And I'm just really amazed by that, because the objective reality of it is I've only gained. And I'm not just being optimistic about it or, making it sound good. Trying to spray a can of optimism over a grief. It's actually true. Everything about my life experiences has been an enhancement. Something new was given, new experience, new joy, and I can do it again if I want to. And just being aware of how strongly I was holding on to the feeling and the perception of loss made me aware of another story. I never met my grandfather, my mother's father. He died a few years before I was born. But sometime in my 20s, my mother gave me this beautiful golden ring with a blue star sapphire. That was his. And I loved it. In fact, I have some, old pictures with long hair, big beard in my 20s, playing the guitar with, that ring shining. And it's just beautiful. I love the way I looked in it. I love the way it felt. I can't quite put my finger on why I loved it so much. Now, probably after, I don't know, a few years, I don't really know how long I had it, I lost it. I lost it while I was living in a home, and I don't know what happened. If it was vacuumed, and the person that owned the home that I was living with, there were some tensions, and I wondered for a while whether maybe she just took it or stole it. It's just suspicions and thoughts that I don't really want to be thinking, right? One way or another, it's gone. It's lost. And I began thinking of that because I actually am still grieving it. I'm still grieving that. I had a session with one of my teachers many years ago. I mean, we're probably looking at like 7 years ago, where I brought up this ring, and she said something to the likes of, "You haven't yet realized you can just buy another one if you want to." And I felt so much resistance to that. So last night I decided I really want to look at this. I really want to see what's actually going on. Because I can see embedded in these two stories, in particular the second one, where there's such a strong attachment to something having meaning and then the feeling of loss when it's not there anymore, that it keeps me from just seeing the path forward. There's an energetic quality of disempowerment, right? When we're vibrating in the energy of loss, of missing something, it's vibrationally totally incompatible with the energy of gratitude and appreciation for what we have and all that can be as well. It's always true. The energy of that which we don't have, the negative, the lacking, is never compatible with gratitude, just the way it is. So I sat with it and I decided, let me just feel the energy of that loss. And I allowed myself to just internally vocalize what it sounds like. And here's what I said. I need that ring. It's so important to me. I'm not whole without it. It's wrong that I don't have it. I'm supposed to have it. Wow. Can you relate to this at all? Be it a relationship or an object or a past experience? Be it last week or years ago? And in getting deeply curious about this object focus, this strong sense of attachment, immediately what I became aware of is like, oh wow, this is like an entity that has nothing to do with the ring. Like this has nothing. This is like the Lord of the Rings. Like, precious, I want my ring. Like this has nothing to do with the ring. This is like a something else. Something that's taken over. That is like it's a consumption of a certain kind of energetic field. And so we can talk about that in very different ways, but it was really easy for me to recognize that this attachment isn't actually about the ring. It's about something else. It's about something that's placed a lot of belief in what the ring symbolizes, but it's not about the ring. And as long as this energetic is unconscious, I'm going to believe that there's something about the ring on some part of me, as aware as I am, there will still be some part of me that believes that it was wrong and that I'm missing it and that I should have it. And like that I'm incomplete without it. I may not admit those thoughts, but that's in there. So just being able to see that actually opens up this wide door of appreciation. I may not see the full scope of this psychology. I may not fully grasp what's going on, but I see enough to know that it's not what I think it is. And that's liberating. To be able to identify that our strong fixations, our grievances, our strong attachments isn't about the thing we think it is very liberating. And it just opens the door, puts our foot in the door to a world, and it might take time. I think these really strong attachments might take time to really reveal itself, what's truly going on, right? I think at the core, what happens in that foot in the door, what happens eventually, gradually, through the soul journey, through our desire to know ourselves and be free, right? To be free, right, is to be free. We become aware of deep, deep places in our mind that at some point began to believe I am not powerful, I am not whole, I lack agency, I am not a sovereign, free, whole being. There is something fundamentally insufficient and lacking in me. And we become object focused, thinking that these things will fulfill that. And of course, we do that all the time. And then the inevitability of evolutionary necessity, such as times like these, brings a lot of change and perhaps a strong sense of loss. And I'm not talking about earbuds and not even necessarily talking about rings. I'm talking about whatever's happening in our lives right now. In this Scorpio Taurus eclipse season with Pluto newly retrograde squaring the nodes, we're in this evolutionary transition time. And I think the archetype that's most alive for the collective is facing our deepest attachments and security patterns. And there's an opportunity at this time to really become more aware of what's really going on that I'm not able to let go. What's really going on that I'm still holding on to this resentment? What's really going on that I'm still holding to this strong belief that there's a mistake here, that I've done something wrong, that this shouldn't have been, or this can't be, or shouldn't ever be? What's really going on here? What am I not knowing about myself? And this is the truth about the evolutionary journey. The threshold beyond where we are right now is always 100% of the time going to be a threshold we have not yet crossed, and thus we have not yet voluntarily made the choice to cross because we haven't known about it. We haven't known that we need to go there, and we haven't wanted to go there. This is true because whatever we're fixated on is pointing to where we're in resistance, which points to where we're actually not aware of the rich inner realm of discovery, of actually clearing these disempowering identifications. Why aren't we waking up? Why don't we know ourselves as free? Where are we so invested in our attachments and the rightness of them that we're not yet feeling ready, at least feeling ready to cross this threshold into the rich realm of the soul? And I say feeling ready because times like these come and it really says feel ready or don't feel ready. It's time to evolve. And that's where the core Scorpio Pluto teaching has come in so helpfully. So grateful for the basic Jeffrey Wolf Green teachings around Pluto. It's if anyone has not explored it, I think this is just a beautiful work, a beautiful area of work to study. The basic teaching is Pluto is cooperation or resistance. And resistance is always going to take the stance of holding on to whatever security patterns. And again, I've often quoted this course teaching, I am not upset for the reasons I think. I am not afraid for the reasons I think. I am not sad for the reasons I think. I am not in remorse or in regret or in resentment for the reasons I think. I am not attached to this thing for the reasons I think. I am not wanting to not let go for the reasons I think. There's something else that relates to our fundamental self-knowledge and self-realization, a power that we need to allow ourselves to find and awaken to, which the journey will take us there. I really feel that this journey at the core is about us realizing our freedom. Like the answer to the seeming paradox of our experiences and duality is the truth of who we are. And life isn't ever here to take something from us or disempower us or hurt us. All the different nuances of life experience, I truly believe, in their highest interpretation, serve the purpose of chipping away at our attachments, our resistance. It's only going to reveal who we really are. And it's like in our ignorance, we think that these petty objects, and petty objects are both precious rings, earbuds, or people, and forms of relationship, or jobs, or things that we're going to do. They're all object focuses in the mind. They're all objects of desire that we think we need. But if we knew who we were, if we understood our power, we would see the smallness of all of that. It's like a child crying over the candy that their parents won't give them. In the moment, it seems so real. In fact, this is a great metaphor. What's the truth of a child getting very upset about not getting something they want? In fact, I see it all the time with my children. At first, there's contentment. Maybe someone else is playing with something, and then it's like, oh, I want that too. And I can't get that, or it's being taken from me. And it's like the whole world, in a very Scorpionic way, constellates around the intensity of me not having this thing that I really think I need. And you can't argue with it. The energetic field of it is I need it, and I don't have it. I'm not okay because of it, right? It's not because there's any meaning or value in the thing itself. We can see that so clearly and objectively as parents, right? The candy has no meaning. The little toy has no meaning. If that child didn't even know it existed, they wouldn't be suffering. It's what does it represent, right? What is it symbolizing relative to a core patterning of identity where we believe that we need something? It's more about that. It's more about an internal investment in I'm not okay and whole and satisfied and complete within myself as I already am. And I'm not projecting this on, I'm just using them as an example. There's also a lot of developmental phases around, there are many layers to this, but that psychology is metaphorically reflected in just looking at the obvious meaninglessness of children's attachments. We are no different. And we're just still children. We haven't grown out of it. We've just become more interested in seemingly more important things, but they're not. They're not. And I understand this for myself and for all of us, that we don't understand that that's true. We have difficulty in just appreciating experience and all that it teaches and gives us, but we have difficulty in letting go of the things that don't last forever. And it's because we don't know who we are. And so there is something to say about honoring that we can have some level of awareness of this and still be very concerned, still be very attached, still be very consumed with the comings and the goings. Like one of the core Pluto traps is concern with gain and loss. I need this, I don't want to lose this. Right? I'm going to possess it, which means it possesses me. And I need this, which means it's possessing me, right? These strong attachments, being consumed, bound by it. We can find ourselves playing that out, and in fact, all of us are. And at the same time, just have the practice and the internal stance of noticing, okay, there's something deeper going on. I want to know what's on the other end of this. I want to know my freedom. I want to know my power. I want to know what it's like to look at this circumstance, person, place, thing, experience, past moment, future anticipation, free of my attachment. And we often think, well, if I'm free of attachment, then fill in the blank. I shouldn't be free of my attachment. That I'll lose something, or others will lose something. It's wrong. Or I owe it. I mean, there can be a lot of elements of guilt or confusion that lead us to think we need to stay attached. I mean, just like even the idea of, grieving the loss of something that meant a lot to us, even the death of someone, right? It's natural to grieve, right? But it's almost like there could be a sort of guilt in letting go at the same time, right? And we can apply that to all kinds of experiences in our life where it's like, am I allowed to feel free? Shouldn't I care more, right? But it's that inquiry, like, who am I without my attachment? What is it like to look at that thing? And actually what I think happens, and this is my experience whenever I've been there, I don't end up finding any separation. The attachment actually allows for a deeper unification. A coming to terms with the past, a bowing and acceptance, but also it leaves only gratitude. It leaves only appreciation, right? That's the point. Like, attachment, craving does not resonate with gratitude. And so the paradox is, when we let go, what we find on the other end is lots and lots and lots of love. a lot more joy, a lot more togetherness. And it's almost like life gets to unfold. And we often think like things are going to happen to us, but like we get to give ourselves more. Like I haven't bought another ring. I don't know if I want to, but I've still been like attached and like grieving and angry and, that voice of like, I need it, right? That's been there for several years. And I'm kind of like meeting it, almost like processing it as I'm sharing these things and just like really seeing it more clearly because it feels so real, right? It's like our attachments feel so real. So it takes a little bit of thoughtful effort and conscious like devotion to go beyond the seeming importance of the object focus and kind of get underneath that at the same time. What happens is, well, let's say I can get earbuds. I can actually make the choice to buy a new pair. And well, what else can I also do? In freedom, when we let go of the past and what isn't or what never was, it opens up the door to give ourselves permission to make choices that we actually couldn't make otherwise. And just think about all the different areas of your life where this might apply. I often say how it's popular in our meme culture to celebrate like the cord cutting and I'm done with that, or they didn't treat me this way, I'm going to move on. And all these ways in which we think that to be free, we need to affirm separation. We need to almost be better than others, right? Or I'm better than that experience or that wanting that or whatever it might be. Whereas in fact, that is not freedom. It's an attempt to kind of reconcile with our attachment and a deep inner vulnerability. And so we do that because we're actually really feeling weak, deeply weak within ourselves. And so it only means we're going to move forward with a lot of protection and weakness. And there might be some healing in that because it's movement, but it's not true freedom. So I always like to emphasize and really differentiate the difference between moving forward with gratitude, with peace and acceptance. But that really means the practice, maybe like the narrow bridge is where we learn to live in integrity with who we want to be. What is it like to be free and to let go? What is it like to be free and to forgive, to accept things as they are, to allow everything to be as it is, which means to be undefended in it, to not try to hold on, to not put the knife in the belly of the grievances and keep on turning it. There's something very beautiful and poetic and powerful about allowing everything to be as it is. Because that also says fundamentally that we trust I don't need to manipulate or control life to be fulfilled. I already am free, and I know that what's needed will come, and if I am to make a choice, I'll make the one that I know is right for me. If I want to buy another ring, I will, because I know I can. I mean, it's probably really expensive, and I don't know if I want to make that investment right now, right? But if I wanted to, then I would save money for that. Like, there's a lot of freedom. So much of what we can and cannot do is bound up in the complexity of our grievances. It's like once it's free, I once heard this teaching from Adyashanti that I just love, and it's the same exact thing that I'm saying here. We can apply this, I think, in really any area of our life. And as we apply it, there's always going to be some sort of argument that says, yeah, but just explore it. He's brushing his teeth, and he had this thought, I hate brushing. I don't want to have to brush my teeth every day. And then he had the thought, I don't have to. Right? Like, what was probably getting in the way of the realization that I don't have to brush my teeth? Guilt. Like, well, if I don't, then I'm going to have a cavity, But then he realized, yes, but I don't have to brush my teeth. It simply means whatever else he does is what he'll do. Like, he can live the life he wants to live. And if he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. And in that moment of realizing that, he decided, oh, but I want to. Right? This is what I want to do. And so the actions look the same before and after that realization, but they're fundamentally different worlds. when we're bound by something and our attachment or our fears or the results or the outcomes and loss and gain is consuming our consciousness, we're not going to realize our freedom to make choices. We can't. So we all have an immense degree of unspeakable agency and freedom. And I think we have the opportunity to learn that, to cultivate learning and really realizing the ramifications of what it means. Like, I'm really interested in it. Like, what are the ramifications? What is it really to truly know our freedom?